Prime. This evening we are going to be discussing with the Popular Action Party. We are going to be looking at what they have as a project in the northern regions, Adamawa, northern far north regions. They were recently there to, I'm sure, look for militants. They are going to be telling us what they did there. They equally are going to be presenting us what they think as the way out of the ongoing Anglophone crisis, but also they would tell us why they were not part of those who signed for the platform or the coalition platform to revise the electoral code. They are also going to be telling us whether they would be signing in alongside other issues touching on our national life. We are going to be discussing this with the Secretary General of the Popular Action Party, the person of Fabrice Lena. He's the one who led the delegation to the northern regions. He's been involved in many of the party's activities. We are very glad to have him all the way from Yaoundé, the nation's capital. Good evening, Fabrice Lena.
Good evening, Solio. Good evening to the fervent viewers of my Media Prime TV. Good evening to Justice Aya Paul, the former national president of the Popular Action Party, to Njang Denis Tabe, the current president of the Popular Action Party, to all the militants of the Popular Action Party nationwide, and to those watching from Santa Subdivision. Good evening to all of you. And thank you, Mr. Leo, for having me as your guest this evening.
Well, I'll start by asking you what took you up north. We saw you in these regions. You were crisscrossing the northern regions. What took you up there?
Well, the Popular Action Party for some time have been focused in the southern Cameroons. That's we've been carrying out most of our activities in the southern Cameroons, and we thought that it's wise for us to know the other part of Cameroon, what they are going through. And looking at the parts of Cameroon that have been abandoned, I think the northern part, that is the three northern regions, starting from Adamawa, north and far north, have a lot of untold stories. I discovered a lot when I went to the north. I found out that the north do not have medias that cover most of the activities that happen there. It is mostly reports and relay informations. I also find out that most of the elites and those that are presented in the southern zones as the leaders of the northern people are not actually reflecting the aspiration of the northern people. I also find out that the people have been relegated to the background on so many aspects, from electricity issues to education issues to human rights violations, from Boko Haram crisis, right to livelihood, which is very difficult there. Now, all this put together made us to have accessibility to the people, because I went there with someone who masters the northern zone very well. He is also a political figure.
Northern regions?
Yes, the northern regions. He masters the regions very well. That is Sir Abubakar Siddiqui. I want to also use this opportunity to thank you very much for making the activities of PAP in the north to be very successful, because we had to call and organize for meetings with youth to tell them that we are concerned about their situation. We are concerned about the degrading social life that is unfolding in their own area, and we want to take these reports of what we discussed with them to the stakeholders in the south, to the media, and to the community, for the world to know their own problem and what they are going through. You know, it is important for me to understand that we are suffering in our own area from security crisis, but some other people are dying of psychological trauma, of war of the mind, where there is serious evidence and effects of bad governance.
Yeah, because I was going to, my initial question to you was, you were crisscrossing the region. Was it to find out what their problems are, or you were there to implant the party?
I was doing the two simultaneously. Why finding out the problem of the people and making a comparative study of the problem of the people of the north and those of the people of southern Cameroons, and looking at the south part of the country too. I came to realize that.
No. You are going to tell me about what you found out.
Okay.
But your mission there was to take stock of the situation, and okay, you were not there to implant the party.
I said I was doing the two simultaneously.
So
while discussing with the people to find out their problem, I was putting structures of PAP. So today I can say we have a PAP structure in the Adamawa, that's Gaundere, in Garoua and in Marua. I've been communicating with youth there because my preoccupation is youth. Since I found out that our youth representation in the national politics is really very low. So I discussed with youth in Gaundere, in Garoua and Marua, and decided to put units of bureaus that could work there to relay information, coordinate themselves, carry out some groundwork, give us reports, and move in the perspective of deploring ourselves to look at the approaching future, to be more apprehensive about the approaching future.
What did you see in the north? What did you gather from the people since you were there for facts gathering? I don't want to say facts finding, facts gathering, and you're gathering this information for the party or to relay it to a higher authority?
For the party, you know, one thing I find out in Cameroon is that most people do politics from their comfort zone. Yeah, people sit in Yaoundé, in Douala, or at the comfort of their working environment and make pronouncements about places they don't really understand. And to understand a place, you need to go there. You need to visit the people, talk to the people, eat with the people, stay with the people to understand them. We spent approximately 14 days in the north, in the different regions of the northern part of Cameroon. And while there, I found out that life is relatively very difficult in the north, comparatively to even where there is war. Because I can tell you, life is more comfortable in Limbe and Boya, where there is ongoing crisis, than Gaundere, than Marwa. Because you see, the people there don't have stable electricity for more than 24 hours. That's what I experienced, even in hotel services. And you discover that people live on petite businesses, boutique kind of businesses. Food prices are very high, and consumables are mostly from neighboring states of Nigeria. So you see a different perspective of life. And they have untold stories of human rights violations, especially when you cross Marwa. You are going to Mora, to Kuseri, to Mokolo. They begin to tell you untold stories of human rights violations by Cameroon military in the fight against Boko Haram, where villagers, in some cases, could not be distinguished from the terrorists, and they were killed. So all these made me to understand that it is not only the southern Cameroons that is suffering from the bad government of the Yaoundé regime, but also the north region have their own story to tell. And their story interests me because when you travel from Yaoundé to Ngaroua Bulai, which is in the east region, you discover that amenities there are different. But when you cross Ngaroua Bulai to Maiganga, getting to Ngaundere, you begin to see a different trend in terms of infrastructural development, in terms of everything. And it also makes one to question, because even the transport system, when you are in the northern region, it has boundaries with west and northwest region. But we don't have direct routes linking these two regions, which pose a lot of problem. Why is it that somebody is in Gaundere or Ngaroua and the person have to come right back from Yaoundé, pass through Douala to go to southwest or to go to northwest? Why not develop the routes that are linking these regions directly? So those are some of the things that I found out, and I see that it is all about politics and concentration of power in Yaoundé in order to manage the territory very well from Yaoundé.
So you found out an abandoned northern regions? Yeah, but this is a stronghold of the CPDM. How do we understand that we have we have many ministers from the north. We have the president of the National Assembly from the northern regions. We have a host of other elites.
It's the same thing that the north will say that we the Anglophones, or the Southern Cameroonians, we have the Prime Minister, we have Minister of Territorial Administration, we have Minister of Secondary Education. Why should we be crying that we are marginalized for long? You get it? Which means that when you look at our case, it's true that our case is peculiar because of the autonomy we had before getting into the union, but theirs is a system of a culture, because even the citizens of the North are victim of culture and education system. The culture is the assimilation culture, which is embedded in their education system, that makes citizens to look up to people who are leading them as the messiah of the place. And these people who are leading them are being arranged or designed by a system which is in Yaoundé that we all understand is mechanism of corruption, of rigging, of designing to suit the purpose of what they want to extract from the population. And the population, they are tired of not seeing who they wish to see as their leader. And then it makes them to become, to go to apathy, to start singing the song of being apolitical, simply because all their attempts to vote the right people have not yielded any fruit. And so the leaders they have, the National Assemblyman, the other ministers that they have, are just in Yaoundé representing their families, not the northern zone, because you cannot expect the abandonment of 3 big regions where the people have the culture of solidarity life, communal life, working together to enhance their community, but at the same time have leaders who are supposed to talk on their behalf about representation and what resources coming from their zone could do to them, like percentage of resources to go back to them. So none of this is the preoccupation of these people in Yaoundé, and it makes the people to have a gap, a very serious gap between...
anyway, we are getting information this evening that the President of the National Assembly is calling on regional elites, divisional elites for an emergency meeting that is supposed to take place out there in the north. We yet do not know what is going to be the content of what they are going to be discussing, though it is also stressed in the note that the northern regions are supposed to demonstrate their unflinching support to the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul Biya. But let's wait and see how the meetings are going to unfold. But how many cells or branches did you implant in northern regions, Adamawa North and Far North? Did you have a massive adherence to your party?
Of course. What I will first of all say is that this time around, the political terrain is a little bit complex for politicking. That's what we should know. So what we are doing now is trying to understand the mindset of the people in relation to politicians, to political parties, and what the future holds for us politicians, for political party and elections. The purpose of implanting unit of parties is for elections and is for the people to vote who they want to represent them. And we have massive turnout of northerners who appreciate and know Justice Aya very well when he was the national president of PAP. In 2011, of course, the former Secretary General Akoson Raymond and former campaign manager Ako Abuno, they went to the north and discussed with people there. So coming to revive that spirit, made them to have that nostalgia of the Anglophone party that they see to have a lot of semblance with their culture, the culture of not tolerating bad governance, the culture of being allergic to rigging elections and machinations of bad governance. So they not actually welcome us, and at the level of Ngarua, I had about 3 units that I implanted, gave them the power to go ahead, carry out activities in the name of PAP. In Marwa is the same thing. I had 2 cells, that is Marwa 1 subdivision and Marwa 2 subdivisions. Meanwhile, we are doing this in preparation of whatever situation that will come in or happen in Cameroon, because we are in a very volatile situation. And in a volatile situation, you don't just work with one objective, or with one perspective, just going to implant party for the sake of implanting party. But you implant party to prepare the people's mind in case of any eventuality, what they are going to do. I think a lot of things are coming up in Cameroon about transition, about succession, and so on and so forth. And I think that these are preoccupation of any part of Cameroon, or population of any part of Cameroon that you meet. And so in trying to explain to these people, we tell them that we are ready to take the forefront to represent their interests and their own voice.
Now, do you now count on the north or the northern regions for future political victories?
I count on the north very much.
Why now?
I count on the north very much because I first of all have strong allies there. Yeah, I have someone from north whose political activities have been influenced very much by a southern Cameroonian, whose political activities have been influenced by the Ambazonia activities, whose political activities have been influenced by the torture that he has received from the government. And such a person admires the Anglo-Saxon political structure, the Anglo-Saxon political parties and their way of operating. And in such a collaboration, we will have to go to the north to make them understand that if we are in power, this is how management will look like. And they are going to welcome it because they have been taught something different. Assimilation, culture of obedience without questioning. And so showing them something different is like opening their eyes to a new era and the era of reawakening, renaissance of consciousness, which is very, very vital.
Which is very, very
so they are seeing us like some sort of people who are coming to deliver them from the bondage. But at the same time telling them that every man, every citizen during periods of captivity has the power to bear or cancel his own captivity.
Yeah, but did you find out the CPDM, the North is a stronghold of the CPDM. The North has given most of the victories to the CPDM party. The MRC also counts on the North. Many other parties.
There is something. There is something that will be shocking to you.
Okay.
Just like the elections of 2018 in Southern Cameroons and the elections of 2020 in Southern Cameroons.
What do you call by Southern Cameroons?
I mean,
which elections took place in Southern Cameroon? You are talking about the Northwest and Southwest regions?
Perhaps if you want to say Northwest and Southwest, I prefer Southern Cameroons.
Who organized the elections in Southern Cameroon?
The government of Cameroon. Yeah, there are two Cameroons. We will come to that during the Anglophone crisis. I might be more explicit on that. I want to say that just like what is happening in the Southern Cameroons, where elections are won by 70 to 80%, and some kind of leaders are there to represent their stomach, that's what is happening in the North. The North is not different. We are told that the North is the stronghold of CPDM, but that is a propaganda. That is not reality. When you meet the commoners, when you meet the common citizens, when you meet the people on the street, they tell you that those people in Yaoundé are not in any way representing them. And the machinations of rigging elections in Cameroon began in 1992. We know it up to date. So we should not doubt when we go close to citizens to gather facts. I am talking here because I went there. If I do not go there, I will be talking on speculation. But I'm talking on reports of conversation I had with youths. And I'm sure I sent the images. So, yeah, it is a matter of legitimacy, legality, and people's wish. It is often said that the wish of the people is the wish of God. But are the people really represented? That is the question. Because the parliament, as we know, have never talked about human rights violation in the northern regions of Cameroon, why the Cameroon soldiers are fighting Boko Haram. Even when the video of the north region where soldiers were murdering a mother and kids were released. That's to tell you how far the people in the parliament voted are not reflecting the wish of those people in the north.
What are you saying? That the military should not fight the Boko Haram?
No, on the contrary.
The military is pretending.
On the contrary, I say that those who are elected are supposed to question excesses of directives that is given to armed force by executive arm of government.
Why are you concerned about more about the military excesses and not the development of the people? Why you have not raised the issue that the MPs of that region are not looking into the fact that maybe the people of the north do not have enough potable water, enough schools, maybe electricity?
Mr. Liu, I had already said it that social amenities in the north is limited to the center towns. That's when you are inside Marwa, you go to the elite quarters. That's all. As you start going to the outskirts of the town, you start seeing very precarious and terrible living conditions. I start by mentioning that. I first of all say that they are suffering.
Yeah, but they are the ones who have been voting.
They are suffering. First of all, they are suffering.
Yeah, but they have been voting for the party.
It is a culture. That's why I first of all start by citing that the culture and system of education that had brainwashed the citizens of the north to think that not challenging a leader or those who have voted, it is the best thing to do, or to abandon politics, to be apolitical is the best thing to do, is the order of the day, not only in the North region, but all the other parts of East Cameroon.
Yes, we saw a coalition around opposition parties recently, I'm sure last month, with the objective of suing for the changing or something to be done as far as the electoral code of Cameroon is concerned. Your party was not a signatory to that coalition. Why?
Well, you know, first of all, to survive as a political party in moment of crisis, security crisis, war, is difficult. The Popular Action Party was born in Boya. In Kumba, sorry, and its activities is in the southern Cameroons. The national politics we are playing is because we are in a system where we had agreed mutually that we could try to live together. But at this juncture, the living together is questionable. The living together is questionable because a government dominated by one part of the country has decided that activities must always be the way they want. Political life, economic life, social life must be the way they want. And in such circumstances, it's difficult to agree with someone whose version in support is the other way.
Yeah, but you are just coming
you
from
get
the
it?
north. You are just coming from
Yes.
the north. Yes.
Of course.
It's what you are saying, not
no, it's not contradicting.
In sharp contrast.
No, it's not contradicting at all.
What would you
going
tell,
to the
what,
north,
what would you
going
tell
to
them?
the going to the north, going to the north, in as much as every people in Africa wishing for self-determination deserve the right to determine whether to be autonomous or not, to be separate or not, we are still Africans and must care about one another. If Southern Cameroon separate from Cameroon today, I will still go to the north to check about their condition in order to give my own political advice and help to them.
What are you saying in effect?
I am saying that
You're talking about a coalition of parties that came together.
Good. I was coming to answer your question,
yes,
Mr.
we
Liu.
are talking about Southern Cameroon.
Yeah, I was coming to answer your
Yeah.
question. We are from Southern Cameroon. Popular Action Party is from Southern Cameroon. We were born in Southern Cameroon. And we have a serious issue on the table. The issue is the war ongoing. The issue is the people that they are killing. The issue is the fact that I cannot go to my place of origin there to go and preach politics or election or talk of reform of electoral code. I have a lot of experts, people who have done constitutional law, who have done judicial jurisprudence, common law experts, who are in refugee camps in Nigeria, who are in bush as IDPs, and some of them are in this comfortable zone. When you want to talk about these people, when you want to talk to these people about electoral code, what are the proposals that you have for us to change electoral code? The question that you first of all ask you is, what elections? What elections? Because we will not be talking about electoral code when there is no guarantee of implementation.
You went to the north to look for militants, implant the party.
Yeah.
For what purpose? Is it not for future elections?
To prepare Cameroonians there, because we are in a process where inevitably we must sit down to talk. That the government of Cameroon and Southern Cameroonians,
Yes,
including the people of the North,
Yeah,
we must talk.
What stops you from also looking for ways to fix the electoral code? Because at the end of the day, elections are going to hold.
No. The problem of electoral code here, Mr. Leo, is a matter of system. It's a matter of system. With the best electoral code in Cameroon to violate laws is very normal to them, and they are very good at inventing what they call exceptional circumstance. L'impossible n'est pas camerounais. They apply that in politics, which means that at the time when they want their agenda to go through, whether the electoral code is stipulating A and they want to do B, they do the B, and whatsoever thing is coming should come. It is embedded in politicians managing this country. It's cultural. It is something that is like an identity of these people. So it will not serve any purpose to go and coalesce people under a canopy of changing electoral code that will not yield any fruit. It's like wastage of resource and time, Mr. Liu. So for us, we think that the preoccupation, the pressing issue for now is to push the Yaoundé regime, the government of Yaoundé, to consider signing ceasefire, an official communique of ceasefire, wherein we could first of all discuss issues that are at stake before going to electoral code. No, because if electoral code is changed today, the war in Southern Cameroon will not stop, and I will not be able to go back there and stand for election. And the interest is first of all my people. So meanwhile, the politician in Nyongekele, or the politician in Fundi, or the politician in Wuri is able to stand for elections here with a good electoral code.
Are you saying that until the war is stopped, you are not going to school, you are not eating, you are not living?
Those are micro elements of life.
Yeah,
we are looking at the macro element of
life.
We
are talking about the electoral code.
Electoral code must have a dispensation for it to operate, Sir Leo. The dispensation is that conducive, enabling, peaceful environment where citizens have the mindset.
When Cameroon was not at war, we used this electoral code. Were you comfortable with the results because there was peace relatively at the time?
No.
So when I get what you are saying, you say that when things are going to be peaceful, everything,
of course,
the electoral code is going to work.
It will work.
Yes, but we had peace before now, and you people have always contested.
There is a system in place, and it's dated as far back as 1992. I said election malpractices in Cameroon is historical, and I've also made mention to you that as time is going, the condition is getting worse, and one factor responsible for this is the fact that we have a president that has overstayed in power. Which is a problem, and in as much as he is still in power, there is still a problem of guarantee of implementation of good results of elections.
Yes, the coalition said at the end of their first meeting, they've met again, that they were still waiting for proposals from political parties. Are you saying that you did not make any proposals to them, and you also believe that the coalition is bound to fail?
I am saying that it is wastage of resource and time. I will not mix my words. It's wastage of resource and time. That will not yield fruit. For me, it's like playing politics or remaining relevant in a political scene. Because we have serious issue here. We have serious issue in Cameroon, which is the obtaining ceasefire in what is going on in Southern Cameroon. Obtaining ceasefire. That's the first thing. Without ceasefire, Mr. Liu, we will be doing what we are doing in Cameroon, and some of us who stand to speak, to do and carry actions on the ground, looking at the situation that our people are going through, have in our conscience the burden of participating to enable the suffering of the people by going in for what we know will fail. So the target should be the bigger picture of the obstacle to the people's progress, which is the regime in place. Its authorities, its officials, its appointed and elected officials. We've not had any credible elections lately. And in such circumstances, Mr. Leo, signatures of unelected officials, whether it's electoral code or it's constitution or whatsoever, do not bind the people. It's not binding. And if it is not binding, I don't know if it is this kangaroo parliament where they go to sit to clap, talk, go about their various businesses in the name of representing the people that will sign or fight or vote for such an electoral code to be enacted. Whereas we know very well they are praying for the regime not to end, so they could continue benefiting from their, how do they call it, a free term of office.
Okay, good evening to you, Mr. Njang Dennis, the National President of the Popular Action Party. We're glad to know that you're watching us from Yaoundé. Dingoke Nelvi, good evening to you. Kemabine Desmond, good evening to you. And to you, Isabel Ayaba, good evening to you. Derek Foncha. Derek, don't get me wrong, please. I just need Fabrice to explain better for a better understanding of our televiewers out there. But I'll stay with you, Fabrice Lena. What, according to you, should be the best formula to guarantee transparent elections in the future?
We of the Popular Action Party have written proposals concerning elections. And for us, we think that elections should be organized in an electoral commission in a federal constitution. So we are envisaging election in a federal constitution. And this must be after the people's will have been determined. That is why for us, the uncertainty of the question of form of state in Cameroon is like the obstacle to any political action, especially for us from the Southern Cameroons. And this could be changed. This could be changed in the circumstance where a referendum is conducted and majority of the population that way say we want separation. And in some circumstance, democracy reigns. And if democracy reigns, we take our federal proposal to where we are coming from and make the proposals there. In as much as we are still in this union and we don't yet have a recognition of a state and we don't yet have a referendum or a dialogue, we function with the status quo, giving the authorities the signal of the danger of the approaching future apprehensively. So we have written proposals of elections to be organized transparently, because what is happening now is not election. It is an organized structure to keep, maintain, retain, and sustain a group of people, elites, political, cultural, economic, to continue gripping the population and sucking them dry of their human and natural resources, which is unacceptable. It is terrible. It can't continue anymore.
Now, you are making a proposal for constitutional reform within a federal structure. Are you saying that without that you are not going for elections? What if elections were called, we're expecting elections in 2025 now? Are you saying that should things remain the way they are, the Popular Action Party is not going for elections without a revision of constitution? You are not going for elections, yes? In
as much as war is going in the Southern Cameroon, Popular Action Party cannot go in for elections. The guarantee for us to go for election is end of war in Southern Cameroons. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is that political situation is dynamic. The dynamism in political events in the country makes it for one to review its stance as days unfold. In 2016, we saw the euphoria of the applause given. People deploy with all energy to the teachers' trade union and the lawyers' trade union. They were the heroes at the time. In 2018, the IG of Sisiko Ayutabe were the heroes at the time. When they were arrested, Samuel Sako and the others became the hero of their own time. And now we are seeing the emergence of, so as time is unfolding, leaders circulate, elites circulate, new ideas come in, and we adapt to the circumstances, respecting people that we are supposed to represent. That's the civilian population. Because the civilian population stands in a kind of the mercy of the decision of leaders. And if they stand at the mercy of the decision of leaders, we have that culture of caring enough of the well-being of these people. And so if you are going to represent the people when they have not mandated you, it is a question to reflect on. So we have to look at all this dynamism, and then as time is unfolding, we remove communique to look at how our party will adapt to the changing environment. We can't say for certain that 2020, 21, 2022, we will continue not to go for election. But as time is unfolding, we look at the dynamism. But as I've said, if war is still ongoing in the southern Cameroon, we will not. We cannot go to election when our own path. We must first of all defend where we are coming from.
We know very well that in some other countries, we've seen the wars are going on for 20, 30 years. You are therefore saying that without the end of the war in the next 20, 30 years, you may not be ready for any elections. But the fact that the coalition came together to ask for a revision of the electoral code, is this also, can this give hope to Cameroonians that there is a possibility for a coalition in the future when elections are announced? Is it a good sign for the Cameroon's opposition, something that Cameroonians have been clamoring for a very long time?
What hope, Mr. Leo? What hope? What hope are we talking about here? You know, the foundation of Cameroon multi-party politics is very bad, was very bad. Mm-hmm. The foundation of Cameroon multi-party politics was very bad because CPDM was simply transformed from a unitary party system to become the party that will compete with the new parties that were born with the eve of multi-partyism, making CPDM to have the power of state apparatus coupled with the assimilation culture of French and the citizens that are being taught the French education system of not protesting against the government. You see how difficult it is. So it is a long-term calculated program, contrasting itself with the Anglo-Saxon education system that is more of protest to back leadership, back elections. So if we are going to take 30, 40 years, we've seen there is Kenya, there is Eritrea, there is Algeria, there is Angola. All these countries have secessionist movement. Even Nigeria, they have secessionist movement. In some cases, it's political parties that are championing it.
But elections still go on. Elections still go on in this country.
It depends on the leader and how they manage it. Have you heard of secessionist activities in Angola or Nigeria being so significant in the international scene or newspaper or communication? It is because the leaders
in the heart of Boko Haram,
the leaders
in the heart of the Boko Haram war, elections took place in Nigeria.
That is what I'm saying. I said it is the way leaders manage these situations. Mm-hmm. There are always, colonialism came and made Africans to have adjacent tribes that were being divided between different countries. And when people come to reclaim their self-determination, the president in place, his way of managing it can make the people to rethink and see how to collaborate with the government for better management. If Ghana was not well managed by Akufo-Addo, Togoland,
if I get what you have said,
Togoland, which was part of Togo, mm-hmm. will have been in a violent situation than now.
If I get what you are saying from the beginning of this program till now, the PAP is a party of the southwest and northwestern region primarily, and not really a national party. That's what you are saying.
The national aspect of PAP depends on the resolution of problem of people that PAP stands to protect and represent. That is where we are coming from. We are born in a place, and our place have a peculiarity of a particular history.
They are not there to
we cannot go for national interest when we cannot even safeguard the little interest of the people where we are coming from. You want to go and play politics in Yaoundé when in Bamenda and Boya you are able to contain the people? Mm-hmm. It's unheard of. If you don't know, majority of the people who became very radicalized in the early stage of this crisis are PAP members. Mm-hmm. Akoson Raymond, who I'm occupying his post today, was the Secretary General. He became radicalized because he was whisked off by the government for standing behind Justice Aya, who was also arrested, a Supreme Court judge, 224 days in prison without any reason. So how do you expect someone to clap for such a government, or go to say that, okay, let me go to East Region, let me go to, when the people are preparing to disintegrate the country by their political, economic, and social actions on the ground. So the first thing is to consolidate ourselves as a people. And
what is you talked about form of the state? What is the proposal of the Popular Action Party? Let us go into the ongoing crisis. It has been there for 5 years now. The international community is always just making, we have noted, we are condemning, we have this and that. Stakeholders themselves, they are not saying so much. People are still camping at their different positions. What is the PAP thinking about a way out of the current impasse?
Well, the PAP is the political party that itself, with its militants, have suffered a lot from the crisis. That is by the actions of the militants on the ground, some being in exile, some as refugees, and so on and so forth. And we are always on the ground, either to carry out humanitarian actions or to carry out sensitization. And for us, we know that, Mr. Leo, in every situation where there is claim for something, it is the sovereign will of the people that will have to reign. PAP cannot prescribe something for the people of Southern Cameroon. PAP is a political organization from Southern Cameroon, just a political organization. We must consult the other political organization. And if the other political organization come alongside us, we sit down together and say, okay, we have decided on this. The difficulty here is that we are able to do that, but because it is difficult for us to have that chance to do this within the national territory of Cameroon, that is where the problem lies. When let me land. When may he so rest in peace, Cardinal Tumi struggled by all means that let Anglophone harmonize their views from federalists to separatists and other forms of proposal, confederalists and so on, so that we could discuss.
Yes,
people say that. Yes, people say that over their dead body that will not hold.
Clearly put, what is the proposal of the PAP as a way out of the crisis?
We have the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiations. That's a Southern Cameroon organization in Europe. We think they have been doing a great job, and we think that they could help organize a conference or a dialogue or a consultation of Southern Cameroonians of different opinions to have their view. You know why we insist on this? You know, I cannot come to represent PAP and say that PAP have said that. I don't have the mandate of the people of Southern Cameroon, and people who are saying it do not have the mandate as well.
No, you are not talking on behalf of the people of Southern Cameroon, but at least if you fault government for not solving the problem, you should at least make a proposal to government that this is the clear way out. Except you are saying that the PAP now represents.
Just give me the possibility to land.
Except you are saying that the PAP now speaks for the people of Southern Cameroon. But before that, you keep talking about Southern Cameroon. Is the PAP a registered party in Cameroon?
Of course.
Was it registered as a party of the Southern Cameroons, or it was registered with the Ministry of Territorial Administration?
Ministry of Territorial Administration.
Does that ministry recognize Southern Cameroons as a part of Cameroon?
And that is the reclamation that we think it has to be reviewed. It has to be reviewed because they are no more treating the people as part of the Cameroon that they voluntarily wanted to be. It is not before the
PAP went for elections. The PAP went for elections.
Of course.
Did they go as a party from Southern Cameroon?
Because...
Or you are just changing?
No, it's not changing. Mr. Liu, you can comply with someone for a given period of time, even if the person is maltreating you, but not all the time. The problem is, there is a people called Southern Cameroon, voluntarily came and made a people called Republic of Cameroon. And they have decided to live together. And injustice has been meted on the people of Southern Cameroon for a long time, that the nostalgia of Southern Cameroon with a government, well-organized, democratic institution, culture of solidarity, living together in harmony, has been systematically destroyed. And we are seeing the evidences today, where even our own brothers from the Southern Cameroon have been taught the culture of living individual life to the detriment of your brother. A culture we do not have.
Fabrice Lena,
Are
you talking as a party or as a Southern Cameroon?
I am talking as a party. I am talking as a party.
What you are saying is
I am talking as a party.
Official position.
No, that is not. When you talk of official position, allow me to conclude.
Yeah, because
good. Let me conclude. I'm saying that we of the Popular Action Party, as of now, we think that
you stand with the people of Southern Cameroon.
Yes,
that's the
first thing. There must be referendum. There should be referendum. This referendum will determine the will of the people. If the will of the people is separation, so be it. If the will of the people is federalism, so be it. If the will of the people is confederation, so be it. Since 2016, the Popular Action Party made an official communique. For us to solve the Anglophone crisis, let us revisit the 1961 Gentleman Agreement. Because after 1961, whatever thing is happening is unjust, and it is the accumulation of these injustices on the people that have led to where we are today. If we revisit it, and we agree on the terms of living together, so be it. If we revisit it and we don't agree on the terms of living together, we go our separate ways. That is as simple as that. But the problem now is how to go back and revisit it. How to go back and revisit it. That's where we are telling you that CDN could handle the harmonization of Southern Cameroon views. Meanwhile, with the Cameroon government, they simply have to accept ceasefire, accept to negotiate with those they call terrorists. Because the government of Cameroon itself have been terrorizing citizens by embezzling funds that is from the sweat of citizens through taxes. They have been terrorizing citizens on different forms. Let us understand where we are and our government.
Fabrice Lena, you were part of a coalition with Professor Maurice Kamto.
Yeah.
Today you say there is nothing to believe in a coalition in Cameroon. When you were joining with the coalition for Professor Maurice Kamto, where was the interest of the people of Southern Cameroon in that?
We have never had a coalition. What we had was an agreement for a common purpose.
What was the interest of the people of Southern Cameroon in?
Yeah, that's where I want to come in.
Yeah.
We had a coalition for a common purpose because I believe that if the president who is incapacitated is out, we could have the chance.
If a president who is incapacitated?
Yes.
Is there a president who is incapacitated?
The president in power is not performing his functions as president of the republic.
But
he's not performing his function. He has delegated power to somebody else, which is dangerous and illegal.
That is what you are saying.
It is what we are seeing.
No, we are going to take exception to what you are saying.
Of course, I am taking it.
Yeah, constitutionally, there is a way to ascertain incapacitation. We cannot. You take responsibility for what you just said. Yeah.
I take responsibility, Mr. Leo, to tell you, a president cannot be managing a country and he's absent in the political scene to do check and balances in order for the country to function well. A president cannot be in power. We have health crisis, security crisis, multiple crises in the country. You are not there to address the people and talk to the people. We only hear high instructions. We only hear appointment. And that is on Twitter, on Facebook, or CRTV announcement. What system of governance, where is it in our constitution or the functions of the president of the republic where his functions should be carried out on pictures and tweets? Was he voted by tweets?
That's not part of...
that's part of our discussion.
No, that's not part of our discussion.
That's part of our discussion.
Fabrice Lena.
You asked me a question. Let me come back to it. You said that why did I coalesce with Maurice Kamto and what was the objective? Where was the interest of the people of Southern Cameroon? To tell you, I believe that if the protest to oust the present regime is successful, we sit down and discuss the way forward.
Is that what you discussed with Professor Maurice Kamto?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So the intention was to oust the president of the republic.
Of course.
Yes, but many persons have refused that it was a peaceful demonstration.
Well,
but here you are asserting that the objective of that march was to oust the president.
If that is those persons' intention. My intention is to oust the president.
You had a discussion, your party had a discussion with Professor Maurice Kamto before the 22nd of September.
We had a working session together.
Yes, and from the discussion, it was agreed that the intention was to oust President Paul Biya from power. That's what you are saying here. Okay, but you talked about a referendum, and you talked about a secession, you talked about a lot of things. Are you saying that if the PAP was to be given Cameroon today, they would say, okay, let's organize a referendum if the people want to secede? Is that what you're saying?
They don't give a party a country.
If you were to win the elections, assuming that you were in power today,
the conditions of winning election cannot be with the present dispensation of Cameroon.
Yes, let's assume that you are in power. The PAP is in power today,
Mr. Liu,
and has the charge of
Mr.
ruling Cameroon.
Mr. Liu, we don't assume in politics. What I mean by we don't assume in politics is that the present government knows what to do, but they are giving the wrong prescription to a wrong disease. You and I know that, right?
Tell us what you would do. Tell us what you would do in their position.
Now, it's simple. You cease fire. First thing. Secondly, let's discuss what went wrong. Reconciliation Commission, we apologize, we are sorry. Can we still live together? Under which form of dispensation do you want it? As simple as that now.
What is the form of the state that you would propose for Cameroonians? The PAP?
Federal Republic. Yes.
10 states or 2 states?
Federal Republic. That the number of states is another discussion. You know, we don't just make pronouncements. We don't just make pronouncements because we want to make it. That's why most of the time we say that it is during a working session before you can determine the circumstance of a situation. Because there are many times where people go for political workshops. Upon arrival, when you discover and have facts, then you can make your mind on that. This is because sometimes, like I said earlier, people make pronouncements at the comfort of their working place. Yeah, but when you travel, when you go to, let's say, Cross River State, Nigeria, you go to Ogoja refugee camp, Amana refugee camp, Dianare refugee camp, Calabar. You look at how Cameroonians are living there and how the consulate of Cameroon is treating Cameroonians there. Then you will begin to ask yourself, what has these people done to deserve this kind of thing in 21st century in an agreement where they agree together to live together? And then the people who are enforcing the decision, using the instrument to enforce the decisions, are there. They have the power to sign the pen that, okay, let it end. Let us discuss. Whether the war stays 20 years, 30 years, at the end, Mr. Leo, we have to discuss. Whether with this leader or the next leader that will handle Cameroon, there must be discussion. That's the only way that wars have ever ended.
Okay, Jack Shilgo, who is saying that Mr. Leo, stop fighting him simply because he speaks his mind. Please respect yourself as a journalist. I have to ask the questions, please. It is also my role to ask the questions, except you want Fabrice to come here and speak whatever he wants to say. Then there would be no need for me to be here. But thank you. I appreciate your proposal. It's democracy. I respect. You say I should respect him. Also respect what you are saying. Your opinion, Jack Shigo, and to you, La Pipi, good evening to you, and to you, Kume Esamba, my brother, who is watching from South Africa. Good evening to you. You're asking questions. Elvis from Mukum, good evening to you too. Glad to know that you guys are watching. But a lot has been said about a possible transition in Cameroon, and the President of the Republic raised that during his address to the youth. I'm sure that was on the 10th of February this year.
Yeah.
How prepared are the youth of Cameroon to take over the command baton in Cameroon?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Leo. This is where I will turn to my fellow brothers and sisters who are in a median age of, let's say, 20 to 40, which I consider my peers or youth. You know, what we are suffering today is partly because of our individual decisions. Because individual responsibility amounts to collective response and collective effort. The youth today are fond of being apolitical, are fond of politics is dangerous, politics is for the old, and most of the time I don't blame most of these youth because of the education system, which has brainwashed them. Because if you are having professors in the university whose objective is to orient you to sing for a political party than to teach you to choose, you know, this conflict between do it yourself and tutoring someone or guiding someone to a particular direction is a problem that has affected the youth. In as much as we found ourselves in this situation, there is individual responsibility of engaging to influence decisions that affect your age group, affect your lives.
So who are you blaming? You are blaming...
I'm talking to the youth.
The old guard.
I'm talking to the youth. In as much as we are blaming the old guys, the youth have a lot of responsibilities. Most of the time, Mr. Leo, when I go to Facebook to read comments of youth, they make a lot of noise commenting under people and saying a lot of things. But when you want to engage them, you don't see anybody.
Practically,
when you want to engage them, when you want to take their responsibility.
Yes, because I was going to ask you that.
When you want to work with them, come on board. You know, many people will go, you are going to get killed, how many people die of road accident in Cameroon per year? And how many people die of political persecution per year? If you ask those pragmatic questions, you will discover that nobody dies of political persecution, but people die of bad roads. People die of hunger. People die of diseases that they cannot cure.
They are running from what will kill you.
You get it? So instead, people are running away from what will influence them to have the power to influence the situation, which is politics.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, we have had young candidates in Cameroon. Yeah. We have not seen the youths rally behind them, but rather youths have worked for the sustenance of the old guard in power.
That is where I keep saying that responsibility. Responsibility. Building a political career is one of the most complex things as a young person, because you have in front of you a lot of responsibilities and challenges. Responsibility of being responsible, handling your own personal issues, family, looking up to mentors and so on and so forth. At the same time, trying to build credibility, consistency, courage, trying to make a melange of so many things at the same time, work, build, career. And in this type of situation or context, what I can tell the youth is that everyone is a potential politician. Be it nurse, be it doctor, be it whosoever, street, everybody in a country is a potential politician. And even if we want to talk about people who go to university to do political science, how many of them graduate from Boya, from Bamenda, from Soa, from Yaoundé, abroad? How many of them are active in politics? Politics is more of an engagement, a feeling of engagement than going to school to do a certain course called political science, because most of them are not even putting that into practice. So at the end, I want to call on the youth that if what is happening to us today in Africa and in Cameroon in particular is happening, is because we have left the old people to play our role. And we have to drive them. We have to unite ourselves. We have to bond ourselves in order to cancel the captivity of bondage that we have been put into. And this is only by getting politically active. If you look at youth in Southern Cameroon, like I say, they are like the conscience of the nation in so many aspects. Because whether it is at the level of higher institute, whether at the level of politics, their own way of looking at political life is always different and outstanding.
We sorry, unfortunately, we have to end at this juncture of the program. It's already 10 p.m., 1 hour for our discussion. We hope we are going to have another opportunity of receiving you, the Secretary General of the Popular Action Party, Mr. Fabrice Lena, to tell us more. I wanted us to talk also about more about transition and also about the regional councils that were recently put in place, but unfortunately we cannot do that. We also want to just say we have to end here. Thank you, all of you who took time off to watch the program. Fabrice Lena, all the way from Yaoundé, the nation's capital, Secretary General for the Popular Action Party. Thank you for answering presents for this edition of The Point.
Thank you very much, Leo. I just want to pass this last message that let Yaoundé and the international community know that any attempt to mastermind the constitution in order to put somebody in power, it is an inevitable civil war in Cameroon. So be warned, please respect the constitution and solve the Anglophone crisis for us to have peace. If not, it shall not leave anybody. Everyone shall be touched by this. Thank you very much for giving me this platform. Thank you, fervent viewers. I remain your humble leader.
Okay. We also want to thank all of you who took time off to watch the program, Eli, and all of you at the broadcasting. We say thank you. And to you, Tabi, Tembe Bryant, supervising the work we do out here. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.